Here we are in the second match in a best of five between CheeseGrater and RedAlert. This is the semifinals of the SCReddit Open Tournament number 4. Here we are on Metalopolis, spawning in close positions. We have CheeseGrater as the green Terran, and in the bottom position we have the orange Protoss RedAlert, or orange. Let me completely say that. This is a Terran versus Terran matchup. CheeseGrater is a random player, and he's spawned as Terran instead of Protoss. We've seen a lot of him as Protoss today.
Yeah, CheeseGrater may almost be out of his element right now. I know after I would play 5 games in a row or so as Protoss, switching over to Terran might be a little bit of a shock. And so CheeseGrater may be at a bit of a disadvantage already.
Yep, he's building his supply depot at his entrance. A RedAlert doing the smart thing. When you have a random opponent, that 33% chance of going up against a Zerg is just too great to not wall off. You absolutely need to do that. And I imagine he'll be sending out his SCV really quickly to scout and see what race his opponent is.
Yeah, Terran versus Protoss, you're also pretty safe walling off. You do have those Marauders, and Marauders and Bunkers are just incredibly long range. So the early game, you're not going to be pressured too much, I don't think.
This barracks put in a very nice position. This allows enough room for another supply depot as well as an add-on, and that creates a complete wall off. So I imagine that he's looking forward and setting himself up for putting some kind of add-on onto that barracks.
Yeah, oh, I absolutely agree. And CheeseGrater throwing down his barracks as well. CheeseGrater now, he is, yeah, he's getting his gas, standard timing. Both players really. Well,
Yep.
both players very similar, yeah, so far in the game.
CheeseGrater has stayed inside his base. He hasn't sent out an SCV. Probably wants to keep his race hidden as long as possible. He does have an advantage in that he knows what his opponent, RedAlert, what race he is. And now he's finally going to see it just as a Marine pops, and probably going to deny any scouting by this SCV.
Yeah, the SCV pops in and pops right back out, so yeah, RedAlert completely in the dark, though he does know his opponent's race, so I guess that's something.
Right, and deciding teching straight to factory, we might see a 1-1-1 build, and CheeseGrater responding in kind, also building a factory.
Yeah, RedAlert really there got that scouting at the right time. Like that, if it had been any later, he would have been forced to possibly delay his factory to see what his opponent was before committing to the mech. But
Yeah, mech very very popular. Both players getting their second refineries. In Terran versus Terran, you often see a lot of tanks and a lot of Vikings. Hopefully, we'll see something a little more dynamic here. RedAlert might be gearing up for a pretty quick Marine and tank push. Depends what kind of add-on goes down onto that factory, or if we see a starport, which we do see. So yes, this is the 1-1-1 build, and a tech lab on the factory. So probably tanks on the way.
yeah, probably tanks, maybe Banshees. We'll have to figure that one out in a little bit. And CheeseGrater, on the meanwhile, doing the exact same thing, getting his starport, getting a tech lab on his factory.
Of course, Terrans being very versatile can often confuse casters by not really giving away what they have, but it looks like RedAlert is producing a tank. Looks like he will be making a fairly strong push with Marines and tanks. If you can get that timed nicely, you can sometimes cast your opponent unawares. CheeseGrater now, he's getting his own tank, but it's going to be quite a bit delayed, and has a formidable Marine force, so probably going to be on even footing as RedAlert puts down a, what's that, a reactor. So it looks like maybe double Hellions, or, sorry, double Medivacs or double Vikings.
Yeah, that reactor on the starport in Terran versus Terran really lets you, it gets you really the two key units here. It gets you your Vikings, which allow you air control, which is, of course, super important with these tanks needing spotters. And it also, if the game starts to look like a bio-heavy build, or if you feel like going bio, it lets you get your medevacs. So it just kind of covers everything you need. Except, of course, the Raven, but
CheeseGrater putting himself in more of a defensive position. He has an engineering bay up and 2 missile turrets, getting a nice scan down onto RedAlert, so he sees that reactor on that starport, so he knows what's going to be coming out. And what's coming out are 2 Vikings. Siege Tech has finished earlier for RedAlert. CheeseGrater is falling a little bit behind. Those 2 Vikings going to go over right now. Going to be able to scout a little bit, maybe do a little bit of drone harass, and by drone I mean SCVs. Looks like CheeseGrater is kind of checking things out. He was about to set up outside his main, and RedAlert's going to pull back now, knowing he has he's facing an opponent with a 1-1-1 build, and he's going to be setting up his command center. I guess he feels very comfortable with those 2 tanks defending.
Yeah, both players setting up their command centers at almost identical times. That's really just both players, I guess, seeing that their opponent is going 1-1-1, knowing that it's going to be a long game, and just getting ready for this drawn-out tank Viking war.
Yeah, I am surprised at how similar these builds are. RedAlert doing a nice job of scouting around with his Vikings. Gonna see if he can poke in. Yep, he sees that natural expansion. What we do see differently is CheeseGrater being a little more defensive. At the cost of having 1 less Viking, he's having a few more missile turrets up to ward away Banshees, I imagine. Or at least the threat of Banshees. Of course, there aren't any. Putting down a great scan. CheeseGrater now knows his opponent's also going for an expansion, and sees a whole bunch of Marines. No upgrades that are visible, no combat shield. And response looks like an armory for CheeseGrater, so a Thor will be on the field in short time. And yeah, still building more tanks, more Vikings.
Yeah, the standard Terran play right here. From both players, really. And RedAlert, yeah, choosing... Seems like he's scanning just a little bit less, getting a few more mules than CheeseGrater is. Instead, opting to do a lot of scouting with his Vikings.
Yeah, he's also being very good. I saw an SCV repair one of those Vikings earlier on. In Terran versus Terran, you want air dominance because tanks have a range of 13. However, their sight is limited to, I believe, 9. So if you have Vikings in the air, you can provide sight for your tanks, and you can get an advantage that way. At the moment, if you check the unit counting station, RedAlert is in a commanding 7 Viking to 3 lead. So it looks like he's going to be making a push right now, which is going to be rather difficult to fend off, although CheeseGrater has his tanks in a nice position, making his natural hard to assault.
Yeah, RedAlert, though, with this commanding air lead, is probably going to be able to siege up his tanks in just the right spot, and yeah, here they go. These RedAlert siege tanks are going to be able to shell CheeseGrater's. Ooh, CheeseGrater's Marines coming out, and they're going to go down in just a few rounds of tank fire.
Yeah, I think RedAlert showing just how good his Terran play is. He got that tank in just the right position, as scan going down to give vision for CheeseGrater. Unfortunately, not enough. Ooh, and RedAlert, nice. You bring in SCV, repairing that tank. He doesn't want to lose any units at all. And now crawling forward with more tanks. This is putting him in a good position. It's very slow, very methodical, but very precise.
Yeah, tanks, of course, so slow to come out, so they just... any tank that you lose is one that's not going to be reinforced for a long time. CheeseGrater relying on scans, but not getting any sort of scans out that are able to let him see what, or get shots off on RedAlert. RedAlert moving his Vikings and taking out CheeseGrater's Vikings, running into a missile turret and forced to pull back with these Vikings, but it looks like RedAlert's tanks are about to be able to shell onto CheeseGrater's, and CheeseGrater's not going to be able to do much about it.
Yeah, that's right. The main difference here is that RedAlert has a reactor on his starport, so he's able to produce 2 Vikings in opposed to CheeseGrater's only 1. He's relying more on missile turrets, and in this position, not that great, as RedAlert is making a slow crawl and getting his tanks in a very good position.
Yeah, CheeseGrater, sieging up more tanks, using more scans, but he's still not able to take out RedAlert's tanks with those scans.
Yep, he seems to be one step behind, and scans are really costly. There's a potential of 270 minerals for each mule. RedAlert doing really well keeping his minerals low. He's at 98 supply, and if we check over to CheeseGrater, he's only at 55. So we're showing right now how much in the lead that RedAlert has.
Ooh, RedAlert sieging up a tank in what would be called a bad spot, as it gets taken out by CheeseGrater's tanks. Now CheeseGrater setting up a tank in a bad spot himself, losing it to Red Alert's tanks.
And bringing 2 SCVs to repair. That's excellent. Really keeping on top of his units. CheeseGrater, he's repositioning his tanks to be closer to that missile turret. Unfortunately, I believe Vikings still outrange those missile turrets in terms of sight.
Ooh, and Red Alert, almost loses his tanks. Yeah, with one scan goes down, which allows CheeseGrater to see those tanks, allows him to take 2 tanks out. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Terran versus Terran in a nutshell.
Red Alert now is throwing up a 3rd expansion. He knows he's got his opponent tied up in a pretty bad position, so he knows he's got the advantage there. Harvester counts, Red Alert is leading in a commanding 51 to 37 harvesters. It really shows here that Red Alert, he is a top, I believe, 170 something, 175 Terran on the North American servers. This man definitely knows Terran versus Terran in and out. And CheeseGrater responding, throwing down another factory, presumably for more tanks. But at this point, it looks like Red Alert has domination of both the ground and the sky.
Yeah, Terran versus Terran really feels like the kind of matchup, even just watching it, where you need to have a good sense of everything that's going on. You need to have played it a lot in order to really get the nuances, in order to get these little subtle tank control issues under wraps. Red Alert getting some damage on his Vikings.
So I just received word that Red Alert is in fact ranked number 73 on the North American server. Now going in an air-to-air battle, not in a good position. He's in range of those missile turrets, moving forward again, losing Vikings. This is not good. Right now, trying to press his advantage. Okay, yeah, he's going to be able to take out those Vikings, although he's now only leading 2-1. Hopefully he has more Vikings on the way to maintain air superiority.
Yeah, those missile turrets do so much damage to the Vikings, and it looks like CheeseGrater now, CheeseGrater is going to be able to push ahead in the air battle. It looks like he has one starport and another starport with a reactor. Red Alert just on the one starport, and CheeseGrater GG's because he is out of tanks.